Yeah, go ahead and turn it on. Let's see. We'll see. Good morning, y'all. We're here early just to get set up. We normally don't do that. But good morning. Hey, y'all are here already. Let's see. Woo! Wowza. Okay. Are you sure you don't want to grab a cup of coffee? Unlike normal, we actually sat down and had a little cup of coffee this morning before we decided to go live. And unlike normal, we actually are planning. We plan today a little bit, that much. Are you going to say good morning?
Good morning.
You all right?
No, I ain't all right.
No, you ain't all right. Good morning. So if you're joining us for the very first time, we apologize in advance.
Yes, we do.
I'm Amber,
I'm Tim.
and we are two of the five Bradshaw family members that moved from the city just south of Myrtle Beach in South Carolina to off grid in the mountains here in East Tennessee. And we have been doing so for over 6 years. Can you believe that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is crazy. So normally, and this is what today is, y'all. We sit, we have coffee, we chit chat about life, recent events, homestead and off grid living, you name it. And while there is plenty of political junk and craziness in the world to talk about today, that is not our subject. Do you remember what we're talking about today?
Apothecary.
Yes. Wow. Big words.
I get one every now and then.
And I'm impressed that you remembered. Is it all the stuff on the counter that gave you the clue?
No, maybe. I don't know.
So, a couple reasons why we're discussing cold and flu, your homestead apothecary today is, and this might be something that we need to pull out a couple Saturday chit chats, because I'm looking at the plethora of things that we have here. I'm like, there's no way we can talk about all of this in one day. Good morning, y'all. How are you guys? And thanks for joining us for coffee. Y'all got your coffee or tea? I almost wanted to do this live. I've been up since 6 o'clock. I've had a toothache, and it's my own fault. Chewing a bunch of ice. I love ice. Yes, I understand. It's bad for your teeth, and it's a sign of iron deficiency, but I love chewing on ice. Now I got a toothache. Anyhow, I was going to get on here early, and then I decided that would be bad to break tradition.
Yeah, that's a lot of
Stuff to cover.
stuff, and we need to give you enough that you can retain, and because it could be a little overwhelming,
It might be overwhelming.
especially when you start getting in all the ingredients and
Yeah.
everything that
I mean,
goes
I'm just
into it.
not, we're not going to do that. And then I asked y'all to last week if you would bring your recipes too. So if you have a recipe that's from a website that you have used over the years, drop it in the comments. Good morning, Sherry. How are you, honey? I think that is Sherry. Yeah. Drop it in the comments. Or if you want a recipe, drop it in the comments, or you could Facebook message me. You could text me 865-599-9959, or you can send an email to amber@myhomesteadlife.com. So there you go. There's all the means of communication. And if you don't want to share your recipe in the comments, email me or something like that so we have it. So today, the reason why we're talking about our apothecary, shoot, there's a couple things I forgot, um, is because Timmy and Lyndon came down with the nasties a little bit ago. And cold and flu season's getting ready to kick in, whether it is a natural thing that happens every single year after school starts and the fall weather comes in, or it is intentionally spread by bioweapons. Regardless, sickness is going to go around. Our kids always got sick right after school started.
The first week, after the first week.
Yes, without fail, every single year. And it is a very busy time for the doctor's office, because we discussed this last week how children all summer are healthy. They're at home, they're not around a bunch of other kids, they're used to their environment, the danders, the scents, the molds, whatever. And then they go to school, and then they're introduced to everybody else, viruses, bacteria, germs, scents, chemical cleaners, you name it. It breaks their immune system down. They're lacking sleep. They're nervous. They're stressed. They're having used to being free all summer. Then they have to conform to that strict regimen, and it just throws their immune system all off. And so, therefore, it's very wise to make sure that you have your apothecary built before you need it. Because the last thing you feel like doing when you're sick is making stuff from scratch. That normally gets us to send somebody to the pharmacy and just grab whatever you can over the counter to make you feel better.
Yeah, we've
Um,
all done that.
guilty. However, I will say this. This is the first, it's not the first. Um, we were very proactive when we saw that Lyndon was sick. At first we thought it was allergies because we finally got a bunch of rain after a drought. And though there's a lot of mold, there's a lot of humidity. She has a lot of allergies herself. And then when it progressed, we're like, we've been at Vacation Bible School for over a week, and we had 150 kids there of all different ages, coughing, hacking, snotting, you name it. And we're like, yep, she's sick. As soon as we realized that, we instantly started on our protocol. Timmy appeared a little more under the weather than I did. However, we're very thankful it never ever progressed into the normal full blown cold.
Well, I think where I got it is she threw up in my truck and I had to clean it up.
I
And
don't care where you got it. The point
I
is
didn't
it
take
never
I didn't take the precautions
of
the way I
handling it
should have
properly.
handling it. So I ended up
But it never went full
it never
blown.
did.
Yeah,
And
you were still
thanks to
functional.
Amber, she she put it on me, man. She kept me dosed up with all the good stuff
I
every
dosed him
day,
up.
and it
You were
it
able
it
to still function.
it sheared it off.
And now you're all right.
I'm all well. I ain't all right, but I'm okay.
So, and y'all, we are not medical
No,
professionals.
we're
This is
not.
not to replace your medical advice. Before you start any health regime, please contact your local primary care physician.
You have to say that.
I'm not a doctor, nor do I pretend to be one on TV.
No, we just know how to feel better
Yep.
personally.
Okay. So,
We're just trying to spread the good news.
spread the good news. Yeah. And not break anything in the meantime. Now, if you have stuff that you use that is, and this is another reason why y'all to get your herbal apothecary or your apothecary built up. One, the OTCs, if there is another pandemic, will be very hard to get. Two, some of the OTCs, over the counter medicines that work, will probably either be in very short supply or they'll make them illegal to buy again. And three is a lot of us don't have, really good health insurance. It's very expensive. We all live hand to mouth and can't afford the doctor all the time, although that should be a priority. Therefore, normally, typically, I have found that home remedies are always very affordable because a lot of them double as food or wildflowers or that kind of thing. So it makes it is and they've been used for thousands of years. It's not like some clinical study or no study where they just pop it out and tell you to take it. Here, trust us. We haven't studied this or done any placebo trials or anything else, and so
Yeah.
take it. Trust us. Where medicine, nature has been around since we have, so I trust it more. Let's put it that way. I forgot something, y'all. Hang on, forgot one more thing.
Yeah, and the older I get, it seems like I trust the things that God has put on the earth to help us in situations. And I think one that kind of grabbed me was um, the jewel weed that grows right beside the poison
Poison
ivy.
ivy.
So things like that. It just goes to show you that
That's pretty cool.
God, he puts it right here, and sometimes it's right in front of you. If you don't know what it is, somebody that comes along and educates you on it, it could get you through a tough time.
I love that you just mentioned that because I totally forgot about it. Yeah, on our property right here, we have poison ivy, and right next to it, the jewelry weed grows. And I'm like, God, you are so good. The cure is right next to the cause. There's a lot of things like that in nature. We just don't. And you're right. Get you a good plant app or, some really good ID books. So in case the internet goes down, so you can properly identify the wild things growing in your area because chances are there's a lot of uses for it. Okay, so let's get started. Y'all ready? And this is one that you all will be very, very familiar with. We're talking about our cold and flu apothecary today, in case you're just now joining us. A hot water bottle, y'all. And I know that I had one growing up. You guys probably had one growing up. However, we had to buy these when we moved off grid because we cannot support the electric demands of a heating pad. And we use one quite often. And this you can do ice or heat in it. But let me tell you something. After using this for 6 years, I would never go back to electric heating pad. There's something about this hot water bottle that just goes kind of like the difference between a fireplace and then forced air
Yeah,
out the
yeah,
vent.
yeah.
It just goes right to the core and helps you feel good where you need it. So get you one of these hot water bottles. You can get them online. They're very, very affordable. And they're great for instance, if you have, a lot of phlegm and everything built up and you put your oils on your chest and you pop this right on it, it pushes it down in there and helps you breathe a lot better. So invest in a hot water bottle. Be careful though, because these jokers will get really hot. We have to wrap them with a towel. But
Yeah, they work, and they work in the winter if you're just cold. Putting it in the underneath the blankets.
yeah, we use it to
Um,
heat our bed up. Kind of like the old bedpans that used to
yeah,
have they put coal in, except less fires with it. But we get a teapot of water, boil it, pop it in here, and it stays warm all night long. Okay, next. This is, and y'all might be familiar with the term fire cider. Um, Rosemary Gladstar shared her recipe back in the 80s, and then there was a big herbal fight about it. Thankfully, I think she won and through the courts about her right to share the recipe freely. There's been some nefarious companies out there that try to take her recipe and then market it so she couldn't even use it, which is insane. But this is fire cider. And now you can go online and look up several different recipes, but the authentic original recipe is Rosemary Gladstar fire cider recipe. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Mountain Rose Herbs post her specific recipe on their website. I also, if you're not familiar with the company Frontier Herbs sells organic herbs and then non-organic as well that are sourced properly, ethically sourced, and you can get a fire cider mix that you don't even have to get all the stuff if you don't want to buy it individually. It's dehydrated, and that's what this is here. And I would sell this locally at the shops where I make it. This is my little fire cider kit. All you do is add your half a cup. I made that one. You can make it. I'm going to read you the ingredients, right? And it will light your butt on fire. Now, I've been brewing mine for about a year and a half, and it's really strong.
that's why they call it fire cider, right?
It is really strong, and you just put, I would say, herbs, but they're herbs, roots, and spices, and then top it with your apple cider vinegar. Now it has dry. You can use fresh if you want to, but I have dried onion, garlic, astragalus root, ginger root, orange peel, turmeric, and chili pepper flakes. I made it before with burdock, but in some of those things you can find locally at Whole Foods. If you have a Whole Foods in your area, or I used to find a lot of my roots at a Chinese store. We had an Asian store that wasn't that far away, and they sold all those roots where you couldn't get them anywhere else. But fire cider. So if you take it daily, it's like preventative. But when you're sick, what was it, about an ounce, 1 to 2 ounces a day?
Yeah, not much.
Yeah, it will
Enough,
light your butt
just
on
enough that you
fire.
can swallow.
That is a must have. And you guys know that garlic and onions is good for you anyway. Speaking of, here's our other apothecary, something that we always have. I did this with Lyndon this time. Slice the onion. You might have seen Barbara O'Neill on the videos if you're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or whatever. Anyways, she talked about this, and this has been around for decades. It's not a her thing, but sliced onion on the bottom of your feet. The bottom of your feet have the biggest pores on your body, and it will draw out your sickness. Now, we put the sliced onion on Lyndon's feet. We put a sock over it. We call them our onion socks because you can't get the smell out. And then you wrap your feet with a plastic bag. Does it look goofy? Yep. Is it weird feeling? Uh-huh. But in the morning, taking off that bag, it was just full of sweat because it pulled it out.
I
And she
believe you.
felt 100 times better. Yeah.
It's good. It's good stuff there.
And your garlic has antibacterial properties along with so many other antiviral. You A lot of times that people use this, and I couldn't find my tincture bottle, but your garlic oil for your earaches, because it is antibacterial and antiviral, will help kill infection in the ear. And you can look this up online, but you just want to take a couple cloves, very, very slowly infuse it with some warm oil and put a couple drops in your ear. Garlic.
Hmm.
Now, another thing for earaches is your mullein leaf, which is available right now, or you can use the flowers to do that. This here friend of mine made me for a tincture, but your mullein flower oil is very, very good for ear infections too. And the mullein leaf is good for any respiratory issues that you have. You guys are going to have to look up the information because it's too much to cover one day. Sorry, I got to drop off. Going to head to the garden before it gets too miserable here. Well, thanks, Mallory, for joining us, honey. And if you can circle back and you can watch it later, that's the great thing about YouTube is you don't have to stay live for the whole thing. One other thing that I find that's pretty cool right now, y'all, is that this is the time to start gathering and making the ingredients for cold and flu season. It's all available pretty much right now. Like elderberries are in season right now. If you make your elderberry syrup right now, it will be ready just in time for cold and flu season to kick off. Isn't that amazing how it works out like that? Speaking of your elderberry syrup, now I want to add here, do your research, because if you're immune compromised, elderberry syrup, echinacea, those types of things are not good for you because they help stimulate your immune system. And if you're immune compromised, these are not good natural alternatives for you. So just because the word's natural doesn't mean it won't have adverse effects that you don't have to look into. Everybody makes elderberry syrup a little different. The one key thing that I should say that you need to have, no matter what your ingredients, is local raw honey. If you cannot, if you're not a beekeeper like we are, search out your farmers markets, ask them how local the honey is. Sometimes they can say local and it's 3 states away. You want it within 100 miles of your home. And you want to ask them too, is it, did they pull the honey from the spring or did they pull it from the fall? If you have issues with fall cold and flu that you get every year, allergies, you want honey that was pulled in the fall. You don't want spring honey because it all has to do with what the bees are pollinating.
Yeah.
So in our elderberry, I sell these little kits too. This I call it Granny's tonic. But our elderberry syrup, we have, oops, wrong one. I have dried elderberries. You can use fresh too, because fresh is going on right now. I have organic hibiscus flowers, cinnamon, ginger, orange peel, and cloves. And that's what I put in my elderberry syrup recipe. And then I boil this down, I strain it, I let it cool until it's just warm. Then I mix it with our raw honey. I put it in one of these and we put it in the fridge. And it's good up to 8 weeks in the fridge, sometimes longer. I keep mine longer, but it's suggested 6 to 8 weeks. Do-do-do. Okay, next, pickled garlic. Now, this one here is ready to go. You want to get you, and we don't have exact measurements, y'all. You use your jar. It's called Simpler's method. It's like 1-to-1 ratio. So, whatever your jar is, if your jar is 16 ounces, a 1-to-1 ratio would be 8 ounces of one and 8 ounces of the other. You follow me? Pickled garlic is very good as a what is it? Preventative. There we go. Preventative maintenance, if you will. Because sometimes when you're sick, unless it's a cold, if you got the stomach bug, you ain't going to feel like eating this. But if you have a cold, absolutely. But you want to eat a half a clove to a clove of garlic a day. And how you make this, again, this is 4 to 6 weeks out, is you're going to fill your jar as much as you can with fresh peeled garlic cloves. Then you're going to top it with your apple cider vinegar. You're going to let this marinate for 2 weeks minimum. And then you're going to strain off the vinegar, keep half for this recipe and the other half making salads, cooking, whatever. And then you're going to fill in the other half with your raw honey. And then let those two mix together and let it sit for a couple more weeks. Don't you like our pickled
Yeah,
garlic?
it's really good.
If you like garlic, y'all, and it's not too spicy.
Yeah,
This is ready to make, by
yeah.
the way.
I like garlic and I like vinegar, so I mean,
Now, in this recipe here, just because I wanted to, I did put red pepper flakes in it just to spice it up a little bit. There's no harm in that if you like a little heat.
well, I mean, you can tweak it to whatever flavor you like.
You can tweak it. One thing too, so I also recommend, unless y'all don't use store-bought Vicks, that's made with petrochemicals. And the last thing you want next to your nose and on your chest and on your feet or anywhere else is petrochemicals. I back when we lived in South Carolina, a lot of those old ladies, they used to say, well, eat a tablespoon of Vicks when you're sick.
I wouldn't do that.
Your mama and grandmama never did that.
No, they gave me castor oil and geritol, and
There was a little stick on that water bed. Yeah.
Carter's liver pills.
Lord have mercy. You can, if you don't have, like, I make our own Vicks. I love it. The whole family loves that. Putting these like little lipstick tubes, so we have it in our pocketbook. And there's a lot of different. I use the menthol crystals in this, lavender, eucalyptus oil with coconut oil, beeswax, and peppermint. So that's what I use in mine. But if you don't make your own Vicks and you can't get to the store to buy one, get you some eucalyptus oil. Just mix it with a little bit of coconut oil or a carrier oil. You can get your eucalyptus or mint oil. Shoot, even the grocery stores sell them now. The major grocery store chains or even your local ones, if they have a built-in pharmacy, should have just straight, not a blend, just straight up 100% oil. My go-to is eucalyptus. Put it straight on the chest with the carrier oil, and then I pop that heating bag on it.
Mm.
With Timmy, I take it. I'm like, stay still. What do I do?
He puts it on my mustache,
Put it on
right
his
under my
mustache,
nose,
and then
it,
put on your temples.
yeah,
Opens you right up.
ooh,
I put it on the back of your neck too.
yeah.
Okay. Next, y'all, this is especially important during the season when the daylight gets less, is your vitamin D. You want your vitamin D, zinc, and your vitamin C. You need to increase these when you're not feeling well, but you have to have this. These are a must have for your apothecary. And yes, they're store bought. You can make your own vitamin C capsules. I've done it before. I've done that with powdered orange peel, and I have a capsule maker. You can make it also another fruit that's it's a little bit more expensive, but is kiwi is very high in vitamin C, and you can do powdered kiwi, or you can just eat the fruit if you're hungry during the time that you're sick. But your vitamin D, zinc, and your vitamin C. The other capsules that I keep in my herbal apothecary, an absolute must have is your activated charcoal. Your activated charcoal is what they give people in the hospitals for food poisoning. It absorbs toxins as soon. Steve, how are you, brother? Now, Steve, y'all, if you don't know Steve, you're missing out, first of all, on some great comedy. Second is he is our admin in all of our groups. He's our admin in our MeWe group, our Gab group, and most importantly, our Mighty Networks group. And Steve is an herbalist, and he has some wonderful recipes that he way beyond the things that I do. He's definitely inspiration. So back to activated charcoal. Activated charcoal. Now we have a great big bag of it that we make our own capsules. You can buy this at pretty much any grocery store. Again, if you start to feel a stomach bug, take an activated charcoal. Take 2 capsules a couple, every 4 to 6 hours until that bug passes. Again, they use this in the hospitals for food poisoning. It absorbs toxins, bugs. Okay, I did this. Oh, this is another store-bought one, y'all, but this is something else that we have for our apothecary. I don't know how to pronounce it. You can read it. I try to pronounce it and I muck it up every time. You want to give it a shot?
Oscillocasium.
We've had this a part of our apothecary for years and years now, and they come in these little thingies. The price does go up during cold and flu season, so I always buy it off season. And you take one a day. They taste like orange. The kids love it too. Um, and this is something that we've had, ever since we learned about it. It's just part of our regime. Second, oh, here we go. Hand sanitizer. So the cold and flu or cold's going around our church right now, and they got those little, over-the-counter hand sanitizers everywhere. Mm-mm-mm-mm. They got nasty little chemicals in them. I got mad at you last Sunday for using one. I'm like, don't put that junk on your hands. So that stuff is toxic. And it kills the good bacteria. I make our own. It's really easy to do. You can make your own. I'm going to tell you the ingredients that I put in mine. I put just like rubbing alcohol in mine. I do a couple drops of vitamin E so it doesn't draw out your hands. I do a little bit of aloe juice with it. And then almond oil, lavender, tea tree oil. That's it. That's really all you need. Or if you want to skip making your own, buy Thieves Blend online oil. That's normally what I carry in my pocketbook everywhere we go is Thieves Blend. Anyhow, moving on. This one, Steve will testify. This one here are tea bags that I had ordered because we don't have this growing here. It's the King of Bitters. And if y'all know anything about herbs, the bitter the better. What?
Yeah.
Like wormwood.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like wormwood.
Mm.
And now this one I can't testify to personally because I'm just learning about it. And I think that I love herbs and I'm always amazed about everything that they can do. In our Mighty Network group, if you're a member, look up the King of Bitters. Just use the search feature and you will see all the information about it. But one of our members shared this with us. He said that they all had the C word. He gave everybody a King of Bitters tincture, and most of them were, well, I think he said all of them actually. The ones that came down with it were right as rain within 2 to 3 days. King of Bitters. Now I got this on Amazon, but these are tea bags, And I'm not even going to try to pronounce the botanical name, the Latin name, but it's King of Bitters. That's just the common name. You can look that up. You can order the herb yourself on Mountain Rose Herbs or Frontier Herbs that I talked about before. You can make a tincture, but if you make a tincture, it needs to be with glycerin and not alcohol. And this is to add to our apothecary.
King of bitters.
You get to try that next time, honey. Aren't you lucky? Next is this is something that when we had the C word and it really attacked our chest, this a nurse
C-word.
turned me onto this and we were very, very thankful. This is like a little mini travel nebulizer. And our children have always had asthma. And so, but they only had sickness induced asthma. So we have bigger nebulizers, but you can get these little travel nebulizers. And this is food grade hydrogen peroxide that we keep in the fridge. There is a very specific ratio that you put, and this is for breathing to open up your chest and everything that's going on in there when you've got a lot of phlegm and mucus and can't breathe. You're going to have to do the research because this is medical advice I'm not giving. Remember, this is for information only. But this is organic food grade 12% hydrogen peroxide, and we keep it in our fridge. It is kind of expensive, but you only use a couple drops. Okay. Next, moving on. Oil of oregano. Oregano, y'all, is wonderful for treating. Oh, is there water still in there? Because I just spilt it out, I reckon.
No, it's
Oh, the condensation.
condensation.
Oregano is great at treating staph viruses and staph infection. And so anytime that we have something really sore going on in our throat, oil oregano. Now you can make your own capsules again, or you can buy it. It was just easier for me to buy it this time. So oil of oregano. Do not forget your bone broth and chicken noodle soup. Bone broth, it takes a little skinny minute to make that. So you're going to want to get started and then can it and have it. You should be taking that a couple times a day at least when you're not feeling good. Next, and I'm going to pronounce this. This is a new one that I was turned on to, and this is supposed to help fight new variant that's going around this year. This is a mushroom capsule, dehydrated. Oops, here we go. No, wrong way. There we go. Can you see that? I did buy this online. We used it was 2 capsules a day. I read the studies about it. I was impressed with it. And I will probably always keep this as a part of my apothecary. You see it? Um, it helps support immune system health, clinically studied for immune health. Again, if you're immune compromised, this is organic, gluten-free, non-GMO. I did buy it on Amazon. And um anyways, do your research. Like I said, if you're immune compromised, just because it's natural does not mean it will work well with your system. And lastly, there's an ending here, y'all. Lastly, we have our parasite cleanse. And this is one that we've made ourselves. It's very similar to a tincture that you can buy online. And I've actually, my entire life have dealt with parasite issues, but I've never been very proactive as far as eliminate them naturally or on a, um, what's it talk about when you do, I just mentioned it, when you want to be, part of your healthy regime, proactive about it.
Yeah, proactive.
That's not the word. I just said it a little bit ago. When you take something daily to prevent it, preventative maintenance. There we go. And I will tell you what is in our parasite cleanse. It is wormwood, clove, black walnut hull, and artichoke leaf, along with a good grain vodka. And you let it steep for 6 weeks. And then we add 17 drops in our water. We'll do that for 2 weeks. We'll stop for a couple of weeks and then we'll do it again for 2 more weeks. And then we'll stop for a while and then pick it back up again. It's called preventative maintenance.
Yeah.
And the more that I'm learning about parasites and the role that they have on your health, the more I want to incorporate this into our diet. But just like anything, you want to do it. You don't want a little bit is good, a lot isn't better.
Yeah, because I mean everybody, pretty much has parasites, and we don't want that overload. And
I
it's
mean, you think about it, you do it for your livestock, at least you
yeah,
can sit there and look at their gums and their eyes. And for your goats, it's like, oh, they've got parasite load. We need to go ahead and
yeah,
treat them. We don't think about doing it for humans, which is crazy because we all, like you said, we all have it. And the more that we learn about the C word, the more we realize about the parasite activity that's in our bodies.
yeah.
And the more important it is to do a cleanse. And if you can get your hands on store-bought things like, well, I don't know about store-bought, but you can still get your hands on ivermectin and such. Those are always good
Mhm.
to keep stocked. Of course, those are bought, like over the counter. Pretty much, though, everything that we've talked about, with an exception of the hydrogen peroxide and the psyllium. I can't even pronounce. I don't even pretend to pronounce it. Um, and the essential oils you can source, off your land or locally or in nature. And there's a lot of things that we have here, like elderberries, mimosas, um, that usnea that you might not have in your area. So you want to look locally to what's indigenous to your area for your own apothecary. Not just C19, even with Lyme, has always been parasite prevention cure on hand. Yes, ma'am. Hey, girl, how are you? And that's okay that you're late. You can watch some more. And Laura, I want you to go ahead and drop some because you are very much proactive with your herbal apothecary as well. Any recipes or anything that you have or suggestions that I didn't cover, I'm going to go over it real quick. Just as a roundup, we talked about making sure you had fire cider, elderberry syrup, pickled garlic, king of bitters, onion, garlic, your oregano oil, your vitamin C, your vitamin D, and zinc, your natural hand sanitizer, your parasite cleanse. Oh, your mullein leaf for your earaches, or if you don't have mullein locally, your garlic. That was the fire cider. And peroxide, your essential oils for your breathing. You have eucalyptus, mint. Um, Sage is really good for upper respiratory too, y'all. Your hot water bottle and the mushroom supplement. And I think, oh, and activated charcoal. Do not forget your activated charcoal. And if you think about it, activated charcoals and all the good water filters, that's all they are, is your charcoal and, some other things that they put in there. But most of them are your straight charcoal for absorbing those toxins that works just the same inside your body. And it just works the same inside of the filters. I just can't say enough about activated charcoal. I've been using it for years and years, and that's my go-to every time I feel a stomach bug coming up. Is that it? I think that's it.
Of course, you got your onion.
I said onion and garlic, but no, that's a good reminder. Um, Always activated charcoal also helps when you have allergic response. Yeah, honey, that's a really good idea. I didn't even think about putting those two together. Oh, I have this here. I wasn't even going to mention it, but it is a good mention. When you're sick, and most of the time you get dehydrated because you can't keep nothing down. You don't feel like eating or drinking nothing. You have to make sure you get your fluids. Do not get the Pedialyte. Do not get Gatorade. I mean, you can if that's the only thing available, but they're full of chemicals, artificial colors and
Dyes.
flavors and dyes. They're not good for you. Make sure you drink plenty of fluid and take a couple of your Celtic sea salt, however you want to say it, to replace your minerals to keep you hydrated. You got to replace those minerals. That will help you as well. Don't forget off, and don't forget your chicken noodle soup, your homemade, not Campbell's. I pulled out an old can. I don't even know how old this is. I think we got it when we first moved here. Just a generic can of chicken noodle soup to remind me to tell y'all about that. There's a lot to be said with homemade soup and bone broth. There's actual clinical studies that help improve your healing with that. Is there anything I missed? I don't think so.
If you did, I don't know what it is. 'Cause
But that's a good.
it's
I
a
mean,
lot.
that's a lot. It's a lot to take in. But and I might do a post on that. I do have an article I just released about things to add to your herbal apothecary. I can see if I can share that. Activated charcoal. Oh, wait. If I accidentally ate something I shouldn't, and if I have a queasy stomach. Yes, honey, it is. Replay should have been taking better notes. You can, this is recorded. Jacqueline, this is a recorded thing, so you can watch it again. You can fast forward through my babble and just get to the good stuff. But yeah, all of this is our apothecary. This is our go-to. I mean, there might be some other things that we throw in here or there, but this, when your first symptoms, when you're first starting, this is what we do. There's one other thing that we take. Well, it's more during allergy season, than cold and flu, but we'll start it every day from now almost until winter, and that is quercusin, if you want to say it that way. That is our natural allergy med, and it is an antihistamine. And we'll take that because if you suffer with fall allergies, your immune system is going to be compromised, and it's going to make you more susceptible to catching a virus or bacteria. So you want to make sure that if you do suffer with allergies, that you're treating those naturally so your immune system doesn't get compromised. Raw honey from fall, like I mentioned before, if you do fall allergies, and curcusin, it starts with a Q, sin. You can get it online. There are a lot of foods that have it naturally that you can look that up too, but we take that daily. Is that it?
I think so.
Is that it? All right. Um, I think that's it, y'all. And I'm sorry we ran over, but there's a lot to cover here. And maybe one of these days, because we're getting ready to harvest our fresh elderberries. Matter of fact, I'm sending you downstairs today for that
Yay.
because it's in a marshy area down in the holler. Um, that we'll do our elderberry syrup like a step by step. But I did say the ingredients. We have rose hips in ours, clove, cinnamon, orange peel, elderberries, raw honey. Those are ingredients. There's a lot of different recipes out there. Wellness Mama, like her hater, she shared an elderberry syrup years and years ago, over a decade ago. That's a pretty good base recipe to use. Wellnessmama.com. I don't know. It's still on there, I believe. But that's it.
All
Yeah.
right.
I think we're done for the day.
We're done.
Y'all stay healthy. Make sure that you work on your apothecary so it's ready for this back to school cold and flu season. If you have a recipe to share, please drop it in the link or a link in the comments, and we'll share it with others. Other people can see it. And that's it. Y'all have a blessed day. Thanks for
watching.
joining. Bye.
Bye.